Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. I know this video is a little late, but I just moved home from Frederick, or moved to Frederick from home. Things are a little hectic, and I just really got time to settle in and set everything up. So right here, I have an OU match. I'll be using an OU team for hopefully the majority of my videos, and this one is against a user called cicinhoff. He's not really using an OU team, so this isn't typical of what you should expect to see in battles, but it's really a good example of how my team works when they're really clicking together. So before we get into the battle, we're going to do a little bit of a breakdown here on the team, the Pokemon that I use and why I use them, and what specific things that they bring to the table. So first and foremost, I have a Magearna. Magearna is a Fairy and Steel type. It is holding the Assault Vest, and that doubles its special defense but only lets it use attacking moves. It is a great pivot for absorbing special hits, and its Fairy and Steel typing, as well as naturally good defensive bulk, lets it take some pretty good defensive hits too. We also have Landorus Therian, which is a ground and flying type. Everybody who's played Pokemon knows Landorus Therian. It's pretty much dominated the competitive scene in whatever format you decide to use it in since it became available. I'm going with a bulkier set because even though it is a great physical attacker, I don't really need its raw power. It's got Intimidate, obviously, Leftovers for health recovery, and Hidden Power Ice for opposing Landorus and Gliscor because I can win the 1v1 matchup pretty much no matter what their builds are as long as I get the first turn prediction right. Earthquake U-Turn and Stealth Rock, and then outside of that, our Mega for the team is a Mega Mawile, another Fairy and Steel type, and you don't really like to double up on types in a team, but I find that the synergy and the differences in playstyle between Magearna and Mawile is fine. They kind of complement each other more than they hurt each other. Just a general all-out attacker set, max investment into attack, and it knows Play Rough, Iron Head, Thunder Punch, and Ice Punch. I used to have Fire Fang instead of Iron Head, but I'd rather have the double stab than the coverage, which I kind of already have anyway, / don't really need a bunch of fire coverage. Then we have Greninja with the Choice Specs and the Battle Bond ability, which turns it into Ash Greninja and astronomically increases its speed and special attack after it KOs an opposing Pokemon. Like I said, it has the Choice Specs, which allow it to have 1.5 times special attack at the cost of only being able to use the first move it uses. And so it has Hydro Pump, Ice Beam, and Dark Pulse for super strong stab special attacks. And then just because you always like to have priority on a team priority, meaning a move that almost always hits first, I have his signature move, Water Shuriken. And then another choice user, but this one is a choice scarf rather than specs, meaning that its speed is boosted. We have Latios. That's just an all-out special attacker that also provides some weird utility, because it knows Defog and it has Trick, which you will see comes in handy later. And that knows, so like I said, Draco Meteor, Psyshock, Defog, and Trick, max investment into speed and special attack. And then lastly, we have Tapu Lele, which is my favorite Pokemon to be released in Gen 7, a super fun special attacker. That is a Phytinium Z set because I need the coverage against strong steel types and against Tyranitar and the like. So that gives me one perfect accuracy, super powerful fighting type move, so I don't have to rely on Focus Blast. It comes really, really in handy during Heatran matchups because people just bring in a Heatran assuming it can survive whatever I want to throw at it, that I'm probably a choice scarf or a choice spec set. Nope, Phytinium Z, your Heatran's fucking dead, see you later. So it knows Moonblast, Taunt, Psyshock, and like I said, Focus Blast for the Phytinium Z. So now that we have a little bit of a breakdown on the team, let's go into the battle here. Alright, so before we even get started, we look at his team here. We see he has a Slowking, a Tangela, an Arcanine, a Jolteon, a Gyarados, and a Beedrill, which we're going to assume is a Mega Beedrill because there's absolutely no reason in the world to use Beedrill if it's not Mega. So as always, we're going to send out Landorus as our lead. Landorus is just a very, very simple and easy lead to use. It can Intimidate and it can set up Stealth Rock, which are two very valuable things out of a lead depending on what the other team wants to do. And right off the bat, we notice that he sends out his Gyarados as a lead, and right off the the bat, we notice that I get my Intimidate off, but he doesn't get off an Intimidate, which means he's not an Intimidate Gyarados. He's a Moxie Gyarados, so he's going to want to Dragon Dance and then get up a few boosts and give me some damage. So I switch out into Mawile. He Dragon Dances like I predicted, but even after the boost, his attack is lesser. So then he switches an Arcanine to get the Intimidate on me, and at this point, I just threw out a Thunder Punch because maybe he'd be stupid enough to stay in and try to dance, but really I was just going to try to get some damage on something. He hits me with the Rocky Helmet, and I bring back out Landorus to get the Intimidate on him. It's a real Intimidate fest. And then he hits me with a Will-O-Wisp, which halves my attack, so Landorus as an attacker is essentially useless, but that's fine. That's not why we have him. He brings in the Gyarados, and I set up my also crucial Stealth Rock. Stealth Rock deals damage equivalent to your weakness to rock to the opponent, up to 50% or as little as 6%. I hit the U-turn to get out of there. He Earthquakes, maybe expecting me to switch into Mawile, but I don't. I switch into Latios. The turn later, hit him with a Draco Meteor on the Slowking that he brings in on my switch. So right here, I switch out one more time. I can't do anything to Slowking, and I go into Magearna. He tries to Toxic, but even if he had hit, that would have not done anything. And here he makes a good play. He switches out his Slowking. I guess he knew I was going to Volt Switch with the Magearna, so he gets the boost, and I have to stay in against his Jolteon, but it's followed up by a not-so-great play for him. He expects the switch, throws a Shadow Ball, I hit him with a Flare Cannon, and a critical hit means a dead Jolteon. But that's okay. Well, not for him. Next, he brings in Gyarados, takes his Stealth Rock damage, and I guess he assumed he could live a Volt Switch, and guess what? He was right. So he gets his Dragon Dance up, lives the Volt Switch barely, and at this point I'm confident I outspeed with Latios. I know I do because I'm Choice Scarf, and that's a dead Gyarados. So, we're in pretty good shape here. We're up 6-4, and he brings in the Tangela, which I'm assuming is Eviolite, based on the damage of that Psyshock. He Leech Seeds me, which is pretty obvious, and so at this point I just pop on out of there and I send in my Landorus just to get U-turn damage off because I know he's going to Leech Seed again, so you know. Yeah, so after that I hit a U-turn, and that is where I pop out into Tapu Lele. I know that Tangela has pretty bad special defense even with the Eviolite, and I know I can just kill it pretty quickly. He knows that too, so he switches into his Slowking on the predicted Psyshock, but I go for the taunt because I don't want any more Leech Seeds or any of those shenanigans, which is great because now Slowking can't use Slack Off. So I bring in Magearna, he goes for Scald, and with the Assault Vest that does absolutely nothing, and even if he were to get the burn, it doesn't really fucking matter. My only physical attack is Iron Head, and that really doesn't do anything to his team. So I hit him with a Flare Cannon just to see what it'll do, and it's not really much, and it lowers my special attack, but that's fine, because I was just going to switch out anyway, like I do here with this Volt Switch. So I go on and get the hell up out of there, and I get into Greninja, which I know can one-hit KO at this point with its Dark Pulse, and again, don't care about the burn on the Scald switch in. So he just takes it, and he's actually able to live it with 2%. I guess since his taunt ended and he knew the Dark Pulse was coming, he went for the last-ditch Slack Off, which worked for him, and then he brings back out the Tangela because he knows his Slowking's going to die if he doesn't. I hit that with a Dark Pulse. That's about to be a dead-ass Tangela, and I absolutely love Specs Ash Greninja. This thing is ridiculously powerful, ridiculously fast, and really the only things that threaten it are things that are faster than it, which is pretty rare and pretty easy to play around. So he brings in his Beedrill. I get a quick Intimidate off on it, and he goes for the X-Scissor on the Landorus, which does absolutely dog shit nothing. But he thought it was going to be a Greninja, which... good move by him. The Intimidate comes in. Landorus has essentially 0 attack at this point, but it's fine because I have Stab Earthquake. He doesn't go for a Morning Sun or anything. I'm sorry, that was on the switch. And so I bring back out Magearna pretty much to let it die. I'd rather have a switch into a Gyarados that wasn't intimidated. So, like I said, Magearna dies to a Flare Blitz. So sad. See you later, Magearna. I bring in Greninja, and here I'm going to go for Dark Pulse, because I don't want to risk missing on a Hydro Pump, and Dark Pulse KOs the rest of his team cleanly, and I was betting that it would KO Arcanine, and it does. So then he sends out his Beedrill. I'm not going to take any of this because I still have an Intimidator, so get the Intimidate off, and here it goes for the Swords Dance, but it's not going to matter. frail as shit. So pretty much anything that I can get a hit off on will kill it. And he goes for the X Scissor, I guess thinking the Swords Dance would do more damage, but it doesn't, and an Earthquake says see you later. So at this point, he's pretty much screwed. All he has is his Slow King, and what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to U-turn out, because Landorus can't touch this thing, and I'm going to switch into Latios. Reason being, I can trick my Choice Scarf onto him, and no matter what move he picks, it's not going to do any damage. I can take whatever he has and switch into something that's opportune, but he actually chooses Slack Off on the trick, so he is stuck into using Slack Off until he runs out of PP, and at that point there's no way for him to win, and he forfeits. So thank you guys for watching my first battle. I really appreciate you tuning in. If the responses are good, or even if not, I just get bored, I'm going to try to put up more of these. Peace out, guys. Thank you.